Okay, so Joe Coyote right now is evidently an administration major, which is clearly not physics. So in order to access this, you log into MyCoyote and then click the pause thing. You can see there's a few different buttons up here. So pause is the main system. This is the one that keeps track of whether you've met various requirements in order to graduate with your degree. MyCAP is the academic planning software. I'll show you that as well. And the roadmaps and course schedules should link you to the undergrad studies page that lists all the different majors. But my guess is those are not all updated. So I'm going to show you where physics' information is, and then we'll come and take a look at Joe Coyote here. So you're in this class because you're a physics major, you're going to be. So what should show up here is that your physics degree. And this catalog year here is the year generally either that you entered CSUSB or when you changed your major. So essentially it's marking this is the year that we need to make sure they're meeting those requirements. Because if we change the program, say for next year, you should not have to go through and meet the requirements after we've changed them on you. So that's how we keep track of the year. But you can always go through and select a different program. So I'm going to go through the drop down and select physics way down in here. And so you can go through and do this too. I'm going to do the BS in physics, and then it's automatically adding fall 2020 as my catalog year. Because if you were to change your major right now, it would update to that fall 2020. And so then I'm going to click run different program. All right, and it'll give you some stuff up here, some graphs and whatnot to show how far you've been doing in meeting your various requirements. It's all color coded and nice. And you can go through and see the various general education requirements that students need to go through and make. And in your advising appointment, we can talk about some of these. It's not until you get lower down that you actually get to the stuff for your major. So this is all general education. And again, Joe Coyote has enrolled in random classes so that we can show things off. And if you have questions about any of these, I'm more than happy to answer them. Just let me know. But now we're getting down to the physics stuff. So the lowest requirement, or the first requirement, is what's required of any major across campus, and that's that you have to have a 2.0 GPA or higher just in order to graduate. So if you, that's both within your major and, so accounting only your major required classes and within the university as well. So if you have a 2.0 overall for the university, but your high grades are all GE classes and your low grades are all physics, and that will still be a problem. So if we start to notice a pattern, people will have conversations, and we'll look at ways to try and get you the support you need so that we can get those grades up. So our lower division requirements are all next. So 1 semester of chemistry with its lab. The lab is separate, all of your math stuff, various calculus and whatnot. And again, this looks all weird because it's some random person. You're in the tools for physics class right now. Your year of physics is 4 and 5, again, with its labs, electronics, modern, and then you get into all the upper division stuff. And there's 9 units of electives if you're doing the BS that you can pick from out of a range of different things. And somehow they have psychology minor in here too, which we're going to ignore. So this is what the pause system looks like. If I go back up and run a MyCAP on it, which is what I want you all to do. If you don't already have one, I would love for you to log in and create one right now, because you are going to, when you're done creating this at the end of the week, submit it to me. And this is actually going to start to count for some of your advising. So we're going to essentially do advising in this class. So for those of you who are have been here before and normally see another advisor, you'll just be fully ready and you can still go see that other advisor if you want. And if you normally see me, then I'll be able to check you off and send the list to Maureen, and we'll utilize class time for some of this. So if you already have a MyCAP, then you can just click it. Whichever one has the star on it is the preferred one. So that's the one that people think you're going to be able to do, that you're following. But in reality, you can have a slew of them. You can see, because this is a random test person, we have an absurd number of these things. Like, oh, there is a semester one. I'm going to make a new one though, so you can see what it looks like. If you don't have any listed, then you're going to click Create New MyCAP. You can give it whatever name you want, but first you want to take a look at this program. So if whatever is listed there is not what you think you want to graduate under, then you can do the whole select a different program thing, just like we just did. I want the physics one, so it's going to do that for me. And I will do physics. You can change the term it starts with. I'm going to start it with fall. It's 2020. And years to graduation, that's just how many of these terms is it going to auto-populate. So I'm going to leave it at 4, but if you're graduating in 2 years, just make it 2 years. Whatever you think. And you can always add more or delete them after the fact if you want. So sometimes the pause system is a little slow and I curse it. So when you're doing the MyCAP, the thing that's cool is that it puts that pause that we just saw without the graphics up top up here on the left-hand side. And then you have different terms here on the right-hand side. And so you can actually go through, and I'm just going to open the physics ones. You can actually go through and just drag and drop them. So you're all in this class right now. So I can say, okay, Joe Coyote is taking physics 1500 in the fall. And maybe Joe Coyote is in calculus right now and chemistry right now. I'm just picking random things, and you need the lab to go with the chemistry, which means that they're going to do Calc 2 next time. And it also means they'll be able to start our general physics in the spring also. So I can bring both those over. Don't forget the lab. You got to do this at the same time. And so you can essentially start planning out, try to make that a little bigger. Start planning out your entire academic career here. So this is what you're doing this fall. This is what you'll go through and do this spring. You don't have to put anything for summer, but you can plan out everything. And I think this is great. One, because it allows you to go through and see, well, how many units am I going to have to take in different times? When am I going to have to take like a bunch of physics classes versus when am I going to be able to do more of my GEs? So you can start to plan things out a little better. One thing that I usually try and talk to students about, and we tried to redo the semester curriculum to make this not as hard as it has been for students under the quarter system, is usually the year before you graduate. So not your like final senior year, but the year before that has generally been the most challenging for our students because you have to do the most physics classes that year. And I'll show you what that looks like in here in just a second. But I find that if students know that ahead of time, maybe you have to work a job outside of school in order to make ends meet, or you just like the extra cash, and everyone's different. But if you can look at your schedule and plan things out, one, it means that you can say, okay, well, I have a lighter schedule right now, so maybe I should work more hours now and save that money so I can work less hours when I have to do those 4 physics classes in one term or something like that. So knowing what's coming, I think, is really important. So what I would like you all to do is, and we're not necessarily going to do it right now, this is going to be an assignment. So you'll submit, you can make a PDF of this when you're done. You'll submit that PDF on Blackboard, and I'll go through and review things for you. To make sure things look like they're on the right track, because it's always nice to have that done. We also require you to have this done before you do advising, so you might as well get it done now as part of a class assignment. And then as things change, you can change things. So we can go through and I can edit this and I can delete out a class. Maybe you couldn't get into chemistry, fine, we can delete that. So you can make updates to this. But this is what your advisor will look at when they go through and do the advising with you each term. And so if it's already ready, then it's just a matter of making corrections depending on what happens. Maybe you couldn't get into a class. Although if you're having trouble getting into a math or a physics class, absolutely let a faculty member or the department know. Because well, we can get you into any physics class if it's time for you to take it. But math classes, we can often help you get into them too. So if they show that they're all full, get on the wait list, but then let us know also, because we can often work some background magic so that your graduation doesn't get delayed by not getting into a math class. So that's a very important piece of information. Maureen Murphy in our physics department office can work wonders. So be nice to her and let us know if you're running into any obstacles. The sooner the better with that sort of stuff. So I wanted to show you how you figure out when we're offering which classes. Some we offer every term, some we don't. And so that's sort of the last piece with the planning. And that's also why I'll go ahead and have you submit your plan so I can catch any of those errors with things. This should be loading our physics page. It should have already been loaded, but now we're waiting. Okay, so because we just switched from quarters to semesters, the web page has not been updated yet, but all the information you need is there, just not necessarily in the most obvious place at the moment. So we will eventually update this, but we're not there yet. So academic year planning doesn't help you anymore because that was last year, but these will help you. So we have 2 different degrees in physics. You can either get the Bachelor of Arts in Physics or the Bachelor's of Science in Physics. Generally, the BA, the Bachelor of Arts, has fewer requirements, so that makes it a more flexible degree. And you should talk to your advisor about which one would be best for you based on what it is you think you want to do after you graduate. For the most part, they don't start to differ until we're assuming a 4-year plan here, because that is the absolute shortest amount of time you can graduate. Most of our students take longer than 4 years. It's and that has nothing to do with how difficult it is. It's more that not everyone comes in ready to take calculus, and that's really all it comes down to. High school preparation is across the board different for everyone, and nobody hiring you is going to care how long it took you to get your degree. But if you come in calculus ready, you can graduate in 4 years. So you can see that they don't really start to change until you get to this year 3 here. And this is generally what I call the year before you graduate. So if you're not sure yet whether the BA or BS is better for you, you really don't have to make a decision until around here. And even so, if you start with the BS and switch to the BA, it just means you've got more of your electives done. So not that big a deal. But this is the general path we would expect students to go through and take. The only things in physics that you can take any term is physics 250 and 250 and 2510. So the general physics we offer every term. Everything else, introduction to electronics, is only going to be spring, and classical mechanics is only going to be fall. So I got here by going to our physics page. So you can really just Google CSUSB physics and then click the quarter to semester conversion link, because I don't ever remember the website link itself. They changed it on us. So use these as sort of your roadmap to expect when you'll be able to take various different things. The only other thing that you won't know is when we're going to offer different electives, and we usually don't know that until a semester to a year in advance. So right now we've decided what we're going to offer next spring, but I have no idea what electives we'll offer next fall or the spring 22. So that sort of stuff you won't be able to plan, but you can go through and look at what the different options are. So if I scroll down here, there's the course descriptions for each of the different classes, and I'll show you another place where you can see this as well in just a minute. We have an astronomy minor, which you might be interested in, and I can go through and show you how to see the requirements for each of these types of things. But the classes that are for our majors or minors are going to be on this left-hand column. So you can go through and see what math methods of physics is, and you can go through and see what this, what some of the electives are down here, what optics is. And again, we may not offer optics next year, but if we know that enough of you are interested in a class, then that may be the best way for us to make sure it happens so you can take it before you leave. So here are a bunch of the various different electives, although looking at it, it doesn't look like it's all of them. So another place that you can go through and access this information is through the course bulletin, and that's the most accurate, up-to-date way of getting to things. And so that is bulletin.csusb.edu. Hopefully. Did I spell it right? Yes, I did. Okay, good. So this is essentially the academic catalog for the entire university. It can be a little challenging to navigate, but you can go through and look up any specific class that you may want for any department in here. And it'll give you what the course description is, how many units, that sort of thing. They generally don't tell you whether it's offered fall or spring. So for that, looking at the class schedule may be a better way, or just contacting the department themselves if you really can't find it. But it's relatively easy to navigate to the physics specific stuff by going to colleges, schools, and departments, and then scrolling down to Department of Physics. So now there's a little blurb. It may be out of date at this point, but the things that I want to point you to are, one, this courses tab lists all of the courses, their prereqs or the co-reqs. Co-reqs are classes you have to take at the same time as the class. Like if you're taking the lecture, you need to take the lab sort of thing, as well as the units. So our astronomy ones are up top. For those of you who are interested in astronomy, a new class, if you want to do the astronomy major that you'll take after you finish your year of physics, is Astronomy 2300. And that one we are going to be offering in the spring. So that'll be the first time we do that. I'm excited about that. And that's sort of your gateway to be able to take the upper division classes to be able to get the astronomy minor, if you're interested in that. There's also an applied physics minor, which is listed. And then here are all the physics courses again. And these are all clickable. So I can click on it and see, well, what is that class? So that's really useful as well. The degree requirements, again, Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science, this is exactly what's going to show up in your pause. So if you just want to see a better looking list of it, you can go through and look at it here. And then it also talks about what you need to do if you want to get departmental honors for our department. So that shows up on your, I think on your degree itself, but definitely on your transcript when you graduate, if you graduate with honors. So again, goes through and shows you all the classes in the list. Here are the list of all of the electives that are approved. And if there's something else that you're interested in that's not on that list, talk to us and we can often get something approved. That's the with approval of department piece. And again, these are all clickable. So you can click on it and see the course description, which it should load, but is failing to right now. Okay, there we go. So there's the solid state one. The minors, let's go back, where that other tab that is important. And so you can see we have the applied physics minor, the astronomy minor, and then if you're not a physics major, the physics minor. So if you end up switching to say computer science, but want to get the physics minor, then you would go through and look at the classes for this. So you can see the applied physics. The only difference is essentially, so these are all required classes for the physics degree, BA and BS. There's only one additional class to get that applied physics minor. Astronomy is a little bit more. We'll click on that. Again, beginning calculus and physics, just like if for the major, you take that one intro astronomy class, and then you get to start to make some decisions along the way for that. So I wanted to show you all of this stuff so you had an idea of, one, where to find it, and two, how to go through and create your planner. So again, I will post on Blackboard a place for you to upload your PDF once you've done your MyCAP planner. Try and plan it out to graduation and just put in dummy GE classes. I'm not going to care that you picked Spanish over French. I really don't care what foreign language requirement you decide to go through and do. But this way we can start to catch some of the issues along the way before it's time for you to actually register for classes, so you have a better idea of what it is you need to go through and do. So that'll be due on Friday as well. Yes?
I've got a question. What if you're planning on transferring next year?
Then do it until you transfer, and leave a note there somewhere, because like where you think you want to transfer and what major you want to transfer into. Because then we can look at classes that we know for sure will transfer. Okay. I just don't want you to take a bunch of classes here just to meet full time and then find out they're not going to
No,
count for
yeah,
wherever you're going.
I've
So
been planning on transferring since I came here, so
yeah, I know some people do that, especially for the engineering type stuff. So on our
exactly.
webpage, there was a pre-engineering piece, or maybe it was here. But it'll sometimes differ depending on what you want what major you want to transfer into and what campus you're going to transfer to. But this is a good start for the most part for the pre-engineering.
Okay,
Any other
thank you.
questions? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I did have one quick question. So
Yeah.
now that we're in this online environment, how would we go about claiming a minor, for example, astronomy?
Right. That's a great question. So they do have all of that stuff online, and I meant to have that tab ready. So give me a second. Let's just see where Google takes us. I've seen it. I just don't remember. It's somewhere in like the records or the registrar, but they do have everything to do online right now. Okay, so so they'll talk about pause. I could have sworn I saw it in the thing. So you can do it through your MyCoyote, and so there is a guide for how to do it online, and there's even a video. So the guide is a PDF. I'm going to drop this link into the chat, and that way everyone can go through and see it. So if you need to, oops, that's not what it is. So if you need to change your major or add or change a minor, they've got that PDF with instructions and there's a video, but you can do it all in MyCoyote now.
Okay, thank you.
And I think if you do it soon, they might not even charge you because of the whole transition business. But I'm not positive about that. So if they make you pay like $10, I'm sorry. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop the recording. That's all